Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you guys are new. Today's video is going to be my updated makeup inventory, and this is going to be the last one for 2021. I posted my most recent update in October of this year, so it hasn't been too long, but the amount of fluctuation in the numbers of my collection is, not gonna lie, a little bit alarming. We have had Black Friday since then, and it shows. So I have not purchased a single makeup item in December, and so considering that as well, that the numbers are from early October, that's just insane to me. Starting out in the new year, I do know that my spending habits are going to be very, very different, and we are going to be focusing more on using things in my collection and using them up. And this is a good reason to do that. And I didn't actually find the numbers until today and actually go through the inventory. So that was a little bit eye-opening, and I'm very glad that I'm shifting my ways. As we were talking about the categories, I will have an image of the category that we're talking about as I'm talking about it, because one of you guys asked for that before my last update. So I will continue to do that for you. I do think that it's helpful to see what's in my collection. And I will also have the most recent update linked down below, so that you guys can see physically what the differences are if you wanted to go and look at the pictures I put in that video as well. Starting out for primers, I have 6 primers. I have 5 full size and 1 mini. This is kind of a lot, I'm not gonna lie. I went through like a little bit of a primer phase, especially with the more gripping ones, and then I really wanted to pick up a couple more hydrating ones, but I'm actually really happy with where my primer collection is right now. I'm not upset about it. I don't think that 6 is a lot, especially since 1 is a mini. I do plan to use that mini up as fast as possible, to be honest, because depending on if I like it or not, it might be a potential declutter. It was free with purchase, so I'm not really sure how a mattifying primer would work for me since I do have really dry skin. So we'll just kind of see how that goes, but I don't think 6 is a bad number. Last update, I did actually just have 2, so this has grown a lot since then, but again, I'm not mad about it. I also use a lot more primer in the winter time because my skin is a lot more dry, so I think it makes sense. However, for foundation, I have 10 foundations now. I have 9 liquid and 1 powder. That's a lot. Like, that is a lot of foundation, and quite honestly, it's just more than I feel like I can use comfortably, so I would like to see this number go down. I am almost done with my Misha BB cream. I could be done with my Bare Minerals original foundation pretty quickly. There's a couple that I'm not sure if I want to keep around, and by a couple I just mean 1, but we'll talk about that in a later video. So I could definitely see this number getting lower throughout the next year. It really needs to get lower throughout the next year. So I think 10 is like my max. I cannot bring in another foundation at all. 10 is too many. In my last update in October, I had 9, so again, too many. I do not want this number to go up anymore. For concealers, I have 4 concealers, and last update I had 4, and I just switched one out. Basically, I decluttered the one from Milani, and I picked up the e.l.f. one, and I actually picked up a lot of affordable makeup for my beginner makeup series, so that is where a lot of these categories jumped from. But there's still products in my collection, so they still count in these numbers. But I do still have 4 concealers. I'm pretty happy with that. I don't think that is a bad number. I would like to keep it around 3 to 5. I don't want to go above 5 for sure, but I think 3 to 4 is probably a better place to stay. For powder, I have 4. I have 2 loose powders and 2 pressed powders. In my last update, I just had 2, and I actually used up both of those, and I now have 4 new ones. So yeah. I picked up the glowish one to review for a video, which I'm not really going to be doing a lot of that anymore. I do think that some reviews make sense for my channel if it's something that I already wanted to pick up, but I don't want to just be buying things for a review. It's probably more beneficial to me to wait and see more reviews before I were to pick something up to review it myself, so I'm going to keep that in mind in the future. I also accidentally picked up one of the hard candy loose powders. I thought I was buying the one that I was looking for, but I bought the like mattifying one instead of the water hydrating one. So it is what it is, but I do have 4 powders. Again, I'm not really mad about that number. I do feel like 3 would be a little bit more appropriate for my collection, but I'm not mad at having 4 powders. For bronzers, I have 5. I actually have 3 cream or liquid bronzers and then 2 single powder bronzers, and these are just singles. I did put my bronzer duo and all of that in the face palette category because I've just got to figure out how to like mainstream these categories a little bit better. So I have 5 single bronzers. Last time, however, I only had 3. I had 1 powder and 2 cream, but I'm actually really getting a little bit more into bronzer, especially for filming, so I actually am happy that I have the 5. For blush, however, I have 13 blushes, and that's kind of a lot. I've got 5 cream blushes and 8 powder blushes. Overall category of blush is just a little bit too much, I think, so I'm gonna have to kind of pump the brakes on that. Yeah, I need to watch my blush collection because it is a lot. However, blush can be really different depending on an eye look, so I do like to have a good variety of options because certain blushes don't go with certain eye looks, and I do like to kind of experiment with different looks, so I do find a lot of value in having multiple blush options. So it's not the end of the world, but I would ideally like to have that number at like 10 or less versus 13. In my last update, I had 9 total, so I've definitely grown in this category as well as every other category basically. For highlight, I have 4 highlights. I have 2 powder highlights and then 2 liquid highlights. Again, I picked up the powders for the beginner makeup series, so this is kind of like a common theme. I'll stop saying that, but that's really like the main reason for all of this growth was that series. But I was really happy to do that for you guys because I feel like it's really helpful, and it would have been helpful for me back in the day when I was learning how to apply makeup. It's a little bit more than I probably would need. I'd be okay just having the highlights I have in face palettes and then the 2 liquid ones, but I am glad that I found those other 2 for that series, so it's okay. In my last update, I had 3, so we have grown overall just by 1. For single shadows, I have 17 total if you count each individual pan as a single shadow. So I have my single shadows housed in one kind of Z palette. I have the Nabla Miami Lights glitter palette that has 4 shades, and then I have 4 single packaged single shadows. So overall I have 17. It just kind of depends on how you look at it because otherwise I would just have the 6. So I put that 17 and the 6 in the number because it depends on how you look at the collection. I think about it as 6 because of how they're stored, but it's just personal preference, I guess. This is one category where it has gone down actually because last time I had 19 single shadows and now I've got 17, so that's nice. I don't really use single shadows too often, so I would like to see that number continue to go farther down. I don't really need that many, so I'm glad to see it going down a little bit. For eyeshadow palettes, however, I do have 22. We've got a lot of eyeshadow palettes, and we're gonna slow down on that, but I really like all of the palettes that are in my collection and I'm really happy to have them, so I'm really not mad about that. I have 8 mini, which I consider to be having 6 shades or less, and then I have 14 like full size palettes, however you kind of want to look at that. But the one thing I don't know how to count is that little Kaja like trio. I counted it as a whole palette, which just feels weird because it's only 3 shades, so I put it in the palettes for now. I don't really know what to do with that one, but if you consider it a palette, I've got 22 palettes, and in my last update, I had 15 palettes total, including the quads and everything. So it's definitely gone up, but I think that makes sense. Also for face palettes, this number has gone up, but I really do enjoy face palettes. I use them almost every day. Yeah, I think I use one like probably 5 out of 7 days of the week, and I have 9 of them, and this includes the bronzer duo and the blush duo from Juvia's Place. So those are not exactly face palettes in the sense that they don't have products for multiple categories, but I just lumped them all together because I'm tired of like putting the highlight in this one and then thinking it should go in this one. I'm just gonna put them all in the face palette category and then just be done with it. But I do have 9, and in my last update I only had 4. This has grown a lot, but I'm fine with it. I really enjoy my face palettes. For liquid lipsticks, surprise, surprise, I have 4. I had 4. It's always the same 4. I'm not that into liquid lipsticks. I like the ones that I have. Don't feel the need to pick up any more. For bullet lipsticks, however, I have 27. So I have picked up like several different shades in a lot of different formulas. So I have got like 6 of the ones from e.l.f. They're Seriously Satin ones. I've got 4 of the new like Milani ones that are kind of blowing up right now. And then I have 5 of the NYX lipsticks that I like. No, got 4 of the NYX ones too. So I've got a lot of like different shades from these more affordable brands, so I think that makes sense. But I have 27 and last time I only had 13. Lip gloss has also grown a little bit. I now have 7 instead of 5. I did pick up the mini gloss shot duo, so I think that it was this one that kind of put me from 5 to 7. I really like all of the glosses that I have though, and I'm not mad about the number being at 7. I think that that's pretty reasonable for glosses. I like them all. For lip liners, it is up to 11 versus what it was last time, which was 10. I added the Juvia's Place lip liner in the shade So Rare for Black Friday. Makes sense. I'm happy with this number. I really like all of my lip liners. The only ones I don't use too often are the KKW Beauty pink ones and then the red one as well. Those are like my least commonly used, but I use all of the other ones all of the time. So I'm totally fine with that number being at 11. Speaking of 11, I also have 11 eyeliners. So I have 2 that are like pot eyeliners, 1 liquid one, and then 8 pencil liners. Again, I'm happy with this number. I think that it is kind of high considering I don't wear a lot of liner. However, I have a lot of variety with my eyeliners, so I really am okay with this number, but it doesn't really need to grow anymore. I think that staying around 10 or 11 is a good number for me. In my last update, I also had 11. I used one up and then I did purchase a new liner, so we're back at 11. I have 5 brow products. I've got 2 gel products, 1 wax, and then 2 like fillers. So I have the brow like flick pen and then the brow pencil. So I've got different variety of options. I do really like everything that I've got. I think that 5 is a pretty good number for brows. I think it could be like 3 to 5 and I'd be happy with that. In my last update I had 3, so I'm fine with either one of those numbers. For mascara, I actually have 5 open right now. That's kind of a lot. One of them is going to be done at the end of this year. It's been open for about 4 months now, and that's kind of like my comfort level there with mascaras. So we'll go down to 4 at the end of the year, but I count it as 5 because it is open now. I have 3 minis and then 2 full sizes. I have 2 full size, 1 mini that I bought, and then 2 like samples. So I counted the Huda samples as 1 because it is a dual-ended mascara, so I felt like that was just the best way to do that. I really need to get better about opening mascaras. I feel like when I get a new one, I just want to try it so bad, so I open it and then there's no going back once you open it. So yeah, last time I had 3 open, and I think even in that video I said that's too many, and it is. I would like to just ideally keep 2 open at a time. 5 is just really excessive and way too much. I actually have 5 eyeshadow bases, which seems like a lot, but I have 3 regular ones. I have 1 mini from Ulta. Again, it was a free with purchase. I've got 2 like other full-size regular ones. I've got a glitter primer and then a mixing medium, which I throw in this category because I don't know where else to put it. I'm okay with this number. I would like to use up that mini from Ulta because I don't really need that many like regular eyeshadow primers, but I'm not mad about it. Last time I had 4, so that mini being added made the difference there. And then I used up my NARS one and picked up the CoverGirl ones. And then the last category is setting spray. I actually have 3 setting sprays now, and last time I only had 2, so I've added 1. I'm almost done with my ColourPop Pretty Fresh, but I'm trying to savor it because I love it so much, and I want to finish the newer one that I have before I finish the ColourPop one because I just don't want it to be gone. I'm not gonna let myself buy that one until both of my hydrating mists are gone. Now we're to the total, and I'm not proud of the total, honestly, but when I look at every category, I'm really okay with it, with the exception of I need to get my foundations like way down. I think 10 is way too many. Other than that, I'm not that mad at anything. Like I do have 3 too many blushes, so every category I'm pretty okay with, but the total number, including the single shadows as individuals, is 172. That's a lot. And then the total number, including the singles as I count them as 6, is 161. This is a lot higher than I want it to be, I'm not gonna lie. I don't want my collection to really ever be over 150. I'd like it to be closer to 100 if I'm being honest with you, but again, there's really not a lot of products right now in my collection where I'm kind of considering whether or not I want them to stay in my collection. I think I have a lot more minis right now, especially a lot more small eyeshadow palettes. So there are a lot of categories that when I look at them specifically, it does make sense why my collection is looking the way it is and the numbers are reflecting the way that they are, but that number just seems like a lot to me. And in the next year, I'm going to be keeping that in mind because I just don't want to see my collection get as large as it once was. I personally just like to keep a more curated collection. I like to feel like I can cycle through all of my products and enjoy all of them. And honestly, I do feel like that right now with most of the categories, with the exception of foundation, because I don't know, I just have my favorite foundations and then I have some other ones that I would like to use up in the new year. This kind of video is just very eye-opening, and even if you guys don't post videos on YouTube, I would highly suggest creating an inventory just so that you know how much you own, because sometimes when you tuck your products in drawers or cabinets or whatever, out of sight, out of mind is a really big thing. And I just think it's super helpful to actually have some tangible numbers on your collection. So that was a lot of talking. My mouth is really dry, so I need to go drink some water. But thank you guys so much for watching today's video. If you enjoyed it, I'd really appreciate it if you would give it a thumbs up. Also consider subscribing to my channel if you want to see more content from me, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye.